All right, welcome back. So we have talked about our primary colors and we have discovered that we have a pair of primary colors in our paint box. We have a warm and cool yellow, a warm and cool red, and a warm and cool blue. We are going to use these colors today to do some exploratory color mixing. Traditionally, in the beginning of an art class, very often we paint something called a color wheel. And I find that this causes people to think that there's just one correct color of orange or one correct color of green. And that isn't how we want to think about color. I want to think more about what kind of green do I need for my painting and how do I make that green, okay? So we're going to do some exploratory color mixing by making little color pair charts. So I'm going to switch to my full spread. So I want to make sure that I have enough space. And now I'm going to talk about what the assignment is. So for each of the primaries, so you have a cool yellow, a warm yellow, a cool red, a warm red, a cool blue, and a warm blue. And I want you to do 2 color charts per color. So this one times 2, times 2, times 2, times 2, times 2, and times 2. We are looking we are going to be making today, we're going to be making browns. Where do you find brown? Where do you find purple? Where do you find orange? Where do you find green? And where do you find gray? Okay, so we're going to be exploring. And when I say times 2, what you're going to do is I'm going to take my paints and I'm just going to pick which color that I'm going to use first. I'm going to start with some warm red. So what I'm going to do is just paint a little rectangle of my warm red right here. And you'll see that I'm using, I call it licks off the paint pile. And I'm going to move it out here on the surface of my box. And now what I'm doing is just picking what color am I going to mix my warm red with. So I can choose any color in the whole box. Maybe not the other red. That's not going to make a very useful exploration of color to mix red with red. So I'm going to randomly pick green. So over here, I'm going to take licks off my sap green pile. I'm going to put it out here on my palette. I am going to make a little rectangle out here at the end. So this is my warm red and this is my sap green. And I could go ahead and label those now, or I could look for those labels later. And now what I'm gonna do is mix them together. So right here, I'm gonna make sure I have a nice intense version of the green. I'm going to use my mixing tray and I'm just going to grab a little tiny bit of the red and mix it in, and I'm going to make a stripe. And now I'm going to mix in a little more of the red and make another couple of stripes. Maybe mix in some red off the pile. Mix in a little bit of red again. And now maybe I mix in a little bit more green again. So I'm exploring the types of color that I make just by mixing these 2 shades of paint together. I'm gonna close this up a little bit more. So what I see right now is that I am making some kind of foresty sort of greens. And I just added a little bit more of the red again, and I've really made a nice brown. So I'm exploring the possibility of what these two paints look like when they're mixed together. Maybe I want to see what one of them looks like a little lighter, so I add some water. Add a little bit more of my red. I'm making some really great like brown tones through here. Maybe I take a little bit more water and some green. So I'm just kind of exploring and experimenting between these two colors and seeing what family of color I make between the two. So I'm recognizing that these colors are getting mixed into one another, and then I'm gonna just like look at what colors I make. And I see here I make this really lovely brown. I've made a different color brown here. And now I am going to repeat that process. I'm going to take my warm red one more time, because I need to do 2 for each of my colors, and I'm gonna pick a different color from the paint box. Again, any color is fine. I wanna pick a new color, a color that I haven't used yet. So maybe I choose to pick the phthalo blue, the warm blue. So now I have my warm red and my warm blue together. And I'm just going to do that exact same process again. I am gonna take a little bit of this red and put it in my blue, and I'm just gonna see what happens. And I see that my blue gets a little darker or a little grayer. So I grabbed a little bit more of the orange, a little bit more of the orange. And I have made a really dark gray now. Gonna shift, get rid of some of my blue and just have a little bit more orange. I'm making something that feels more brown. I can go ahead and add a little water if I want to see what that looks like lightened up a little bit. I can go ahead and add more of the orange. So I'm just using those same 2 colors in combination with each other. Maybe sometimes making them lighter, sometimes making them, but changing them as they go. And now here I have that same family between, I see that I make some really great dark browns and some great grays between these 2 colors. So I want you to go ahead and explore color this way in your sketchbook so that you can know what colors do you need to create browns, purples, oranges, greens, and grays. So right now, if I look at my assignment sheet, I have completed the 2 warm red combinations. So I'm gonna have to switch and do the next combination. Have fun exploring color mixing.